By November 2022, the federal government of the United States had already committed $68 billion in military, civil, and humanitarian aid to Ukraine against the Russian invasion, with another $37 billion to be analyzed by the United States Congress by the spring of next year. The total amount of dollars sent to Ukraine could surpass $100 billion in less than 2 years. Despite the rise in inflation, higher energy costs, and the fear of the nuclear escalation of the conflict, public support to Ukraine against Russia doesn't seem to have changed in these 9 months of the war, with 60% of Americans answering in October 2022 that they expect the United States to maintain its military and financial support to Ukraine, against 62% of Americans answering the same in June 2022. Indeed, these high numbers of public support reflect Washington's official geopolitical bet in the Ukrainian war. In this video, we'll see why it is in the United States' national interest that Ukraine wins against Russia. A first step to understand the Ukrainian crisis and how it affects the United States' national interests is to consider the actual conflict as a proxy war between the Western countries, represented in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and Russia. Viewed in this way, the involvement of NATO, especially through delivering powerful arms to the Ukrainian side, has heightened the possibility of Kyiv winning against Moscow. As a matter of fact, the successful counteroffensive in the Kharkiv region in September 2022 is an evidence of how Ukraine is turning the tide against Russia, and in this sense, it's important to analyze the reasons why a Ukrainian victory would benefit the United States of America. The first reason can be entirely summarized in one sentence. Quote, "If Russia loses, Eastern Europe could become fully integrated with Western institutions." End quote. And what would that mean? Well, on one hand, it means Ukraine and other ex-Soviet republics, such as Moldova, could enter the European Union and especially the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, further expanding the United States' sphere of influence in the region, at the same time when the Russian sphere of influence and capacity to project power in these countries would decrease. As a matter of example, in a hypothetical scenario, these potential new members of NATO, Ukraine and Moldova, could join the discussion to house American nuclear weapons under the collective security arrangement of the North Atlantic Partnership, a decision similar to what has been discussed with Sweden and Finland. On the other hand, with Russia diplomatically and economically isolated by its neighbors, its capacity to cause damage in other core European countries would diminish to the point of almost assuring that Europe could become more responsible for its own security, which, in the end, could decrease the necessity to relocate a higher number of American troops in the European geopolitical theater. With this in mind, the second reason comes as a consequence of the possibility of the United States to focus its military efforts on other parts of the world. A Ukrainian victory over Russia would have two direct and intertwined impacts. First, with the confirmation that Russian military capabilities are less effective as once thought and feared, the country could, then, cease to be considered a superpower, even though it still has a nuclear arsenal. Second, a morally and tactically defeated Russia would represent the erosion of the country's power and influence over the broader Eurasian affairs, a result that would shake one pillar of the once threatening Russian-Chinese alliance, which aimed to consolidate multipolarity in the international power distribution by further questioning and criticizing the American hegemony. Therefore, with a weaker Russia and with an Europe more capable to defend itself, the United States could, then, relocate the majority of its military efforts to contain China in the Indo-Pacific region, avoiding, in this case, a two-front engagement with Russia and China at the same time. The third and last reason why a Ukrainian victory is in the United States' national interest is related to the capacity to reaffirm the liberal rules-based world order. In this sense, a Russian defeat would represent the outcome of countries who wish to pose a threat to international law, and, for that reason, all the economic and military efforts to help Ukraine are also a message sent by the United States and its allies to deter other countries from following the same path as revisionist powers. That being the case, considering the ongoing instability across the Taiwan Strait, a successful Ukrainian win could increase the costs of any planned reincorporation of the island of Taiwan by the People's Republic of China, especially in regards to the possibility of the United States and its Indo-Pacific partners to express support to the Taiwanese side, setting the tones to a situation which could resemble the actual Ukrainian conflict. And what do you think? Should the United States keep sending military and economic aid to support a Ukrainian victory over Russia? Let your opinion in the comments below, and I'll be glad to read your feedback. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider clicking the like and subscribe buttons. Thanks for watching,